What is good, fellas? No funny business today. We've got the patch notes here. We do this every year by the looks of things, where we go through the patch notes, talk about it, all the stuff that's happened, all the stuff that's new, and I'm looking forward to it. As we know, the game gets an update in a day, and it is really late. I've not slept yet, so it is what it is, but let's get through it. And at the top here, it's the usual stuff. We're getting all the background music that fits Jam, we're getting all the stages, the musics, the character. And apparently we're going to get an update to the lore, being Jam herself, Kuridin Shama, I don't know what that is, and the rabbit, or ranked, is going to have different ranks, as you can see here, besides just Vanquisher. And Imperious when you're a top 100. These are things we know. Alright, so I had to fight really hard to get here. We're back. I'm listening, I did it my way right now, and it is kicking in so hard. Oh my goodness. For anyone that doesn't know, there was a hell of a searching. I was sat here for 20 minutes trying to resync onto this. It was hell. But ball adjustments time. It is time to talk about the important stuff. This is all the stuff that was on here about a week ago. This is the important stuff. This is the big daddy stuff coming in. And they talk about the overall balance. Wanted to reevaluate both offense and defense. How strike is just a better balance between risk and reward. All that type of stuff. The usual jargon of toning down the game. And they want to make it clear that going for certain actions that have greater effect come with a greater risk, depending on the different situations in the flow of battle. The usual. This is the viewpoint you want to see. This is the design point you want to see before coming into it. In the end, mostly talking about rewards depending on what you do, right? It's a classic. Alright, they've limited the reward of combos from what I'm reading here. Long-reaching folks won't reach to big situations like that now. You know, obviously 5H to Wild Assault is a big example of that. They also want to make it so that the risk of taking a combo is still very rewarded. For example, if you get a counter hit, really recoverable move. So that's good to know. Moving Wild Assault, we know about that. Counter Blitz, we already know everything about this, but now we know it doesn't trigger on a punch or a kick type of counter hit or special moves. Has to be a normal that can be cancelled. So not a Sol 6H. Good to know. Can be used at any playing level, and it does lead to knockdown in mid-screen, hard knockdown, and for a wall break, no hard knockdown. Uses 50 burst, we already know this. Okay, so they want to adjust some of the hurt boxes of the bigger characters to make them a bit more fair from what I'm reading here, aka blocking it, damage state, stuff like that. So they want to make the hitbox a bit more fairer in terms of combos. I hope the bigger hitbox still means you get hit for doing neutral things, but they wanted so certain combos that are possible on these characters, not so much. It's a bit of a shame, but it's kind of cool. Alright, adjusting hitboxes, making close slashes harder to use as an anti-air from what I'm reading here. That is the main thing. And close slash, as we know, is a strong anti-air for some characters, and they don't want that. They do not want that. That's the main thing they want to know. Again, this is what we talked about last time. Burst is now this, and it appears Deflect is now this, right? It's no longer that type of input. It's a lot more simpler to do. Back plus dust punch, or kick. Gold burst, we have revised the input buffer upon wake up that blue burst will not activate if the input is performed 4 frames directly on a wake up. If you input sight burst during this window, you'll perform a gold burst directly upon wake up. Okay, so they made it so wake up gold burst is a bit more consistent. We have decreasing knockback distance of the burst on block regardless of the situation, probably making it easier to actually punish it unlike the current state, so that's good to know. Yeah, it's a bit more consistent both punishing it and actually landing it, so that's good. Purple Roman Cancel, this is something that was talked about. Basically whiffing it or using it in a combo will heavily scale your combo now. Pretty massive, so when you're using Purple Roman Cancel, gotta be smart about it. It's good, it's still a strong tool, but like, that's a big deal, and obviously you can't throw into Purple Roman Cancel. Now this is interesting. Throws was not only an effective defensive option, but could create situations where opponent is forced to deal with your offense, as it could be safe with Purple Roman Cancel. As we know, throw whiff can no longer be PRC'd, but they also made it so the command grabs don't have invul against normal throws. So this is quite massive. This is quite massive. When you're doing meaty command grab, you can lose to wake up throw unless you do a guard crush. So keep that in mind. Another massive thing when it comes to invincibility, they made it so you can RC after super, right? So you can't do super PRC, you can't do super hit into RC. You can't do that anymore. Super is only super now. Which is insane, and obviously supers are now having a counter hit stay on it. So when you punish them, you get hit super hard against a super. So it's a bit of a challenge to use them now. You need to be clever with this invincible move, as they're saying. Also, backdash counts as an action now, meaning you can't do BRC or PRC during backdash, meaning backdash BRC, the greatest OS in terms of defense, is gone now. Insane. Very strong option, just gone like that. Yeah, it says it right there. Insane. They're trying to adjust it so when you do faultless defense, you no longer get the counter hit. That can happen sometimes, where you'll get a button instead of faultless if you don't have a macro for it, and it happens to me a ton, so they mentioned this before, I hope they actually get it. Also, things like Jealousy Rage or Nagoriyuki's Blood Rage can no longer be delayed by holding FD. That technique is gone. They're talking about they adjusted damage on wall breaks, so it's probably not as chunky, kind of like a launch strive if I had to guess. And they also mentioned revising positive bonus, so when you do a metered option like a super RC, you get the tension penalty. You have to wait a little bit until it actually builds up, even when you have positive bonus, which is huge. Stop steamrolls. It's a really good change. Alright, they're trying to make it so low profile moves are a bit more adjustable, so they aren't just like throw it out and you're low profile in a mid that's very silly. So they're trying to fix that, and how some crouching kicks do have that, and they feel like it's very low risk for a defensive option. So they're hoping to change it with some of the characters. Damage duration. I feel like a lot of this is very like neat. They're mostly just changing damage. Previously, damage would go up by 10% upon counter hit for damage rates, further 20% with risk when it's maxed out, but we removed the damage modifier upon counter hit. You hear that? You no longer get more damage on counter hits, so it's just counter hits give you better combo states, you don't get more damage. But yeah, they mostly talk about heart boxes and want to make 6Ps more consistent in terms of like actually hitting, and damage prorations, but again, we'll see that through the character kits. Charge commands, previously 30 frames of charge time, we've adjusted it to 25! Okay, that means you don't have to wait as long to charge some of your inputs. That's actually pretty huge. Wild Assault removed, Counter Blitz added. Awesome. And this is everything that we're saying in more of a, like, read the text format, you know, read your patches. But some of these are actually different. Projectiles, base damage scaling from 80% to 60%, so you do less damage with projectiles. Hitting Jackal pretty hard. Talking about how damage is changed for low profile moves here. For example, all of these went from 90% to 60%, and these went from 80 to 60. So Kai, Ino, Sol, and Unika got hit on their approach low moves, whereas Mei, Jackal and Baiken got really hurt on their normals that do it. Lunging attacks have a bigger scaling from what we're seeing, from 80 to 70%. I absolutely love what I'm reading here, by the way. That's amazing. Combo starters, starting with Punch, are heavily affected with damage now. It's pretty huge. Counter hit, kind of like what we talked about earlier. Oh, so this is interesting. Slayer's counter hit damage on his Bloodsucking universe was a different instance of counter hit. Getting rid of the original counter hit damage boost, you're still getting the universal hit counter hit boost. If that makes any sense for you guys. The strength of a wall bounce is now affected by the combo blowback scaling, so this is basically how you scale your combos. That's how much of a wall bounce you're going to get. The value which gauge turns red is 75%. That's a buff to the risk system, as in slightly lower now will get you to a higher state. But I'm assuming, yeah, adjustments to it. Yeah, adjustments. They're thinking that the 75% point should be where you get punished now. Added punish for when you hit jump. That's pretty good. I like that. That lets you know what you've hit. Fix an issue when it's possible. Landing recovery with another action. The landing exactly the same time as a super flash or moves with a landing. I think this is where you can get hit while you're landing, so it's a pretty big change. And it can affect recovery on mid-air actions. Remove the influence of proximity requirements on projectile clashes, so that means proximity doesn't kick in during a clash. That's very, very intriguing, because it turns out the hitboxes overlapped. Tension gauge and burst gauge no longer increases once combo blowback scaling exceeds a certain limit. So when the certain limit's kicked in, you don't build these. It's interesting. Guard crushes, throws that connect during combos no longer hits who are in guard crush. Okay. Throws that connect during combos no longer hit opponents who are in guard crush. Okay. So that means the fuzzy hit thing might be gone. I don't know what that entirely entails, so if anyone's more educated on that, let me know. But we're on to the characters. Still that guy. I'm not going to read all this. I'm going to read the important stuff. And if I need context, I'll come right back up here. Sound good? Sound good. Alright, so Badguy. Punch went to a 5-framer. I heard this. Everybody got nerfed in this way. The fastest attacks now are 5-framers. Good to know. Change the heart box from 6 feet to 4 frame. This is the standard. And crouching kick changed to the start of 6 frames. That's going to make it a harder low poke on Mash to use. Alright, close slash changed the attack hitboxes above a certain height into follow-up hitboxes. As we know, the anti-air changes, so close slash is a bit harder to use for an anti-air. Jumping punch changed the startup on it. I don't know if that'll matter too much, but Gunflame comes out faster. And as we saw in the trailer, it goes further. It gives you an additional flame power, as it says there, and active for longer. Oh wait, each of them are active for slower for the additional flame pillar. So it's active longer, but technically shorter per pillar, if that makes sense. Frame advantage on the point blank went from -10 to -12. This will probably make it more plus on the later end, but a bit scarier to use up close. Gunflame, when you do the feint, you actually move forward during it. That's actually cheeky. I don't know if that's going to be really good, but that is cheeky. Counter effect removed from DPs from what I'm seeing here. And landing recovery for the air versions have been increased, meaning this is way more punishable. Wow. Heavy now removed the clean hit property, like a lot of people assumed, and has the ignited and the damage of the second hit changed from 40 to 50. Very large, very, very large. Aerial version kind of comes out a little slower. Reduce the upward movement speed, reduce the gravity applied during the ascent, and increase the gravity applied during descent. Wow, so when he goes up, he's a little slower. When he goes down, he's quicker. Probably make it easier to punish. But increase the launch at the initial hit, and increase the launch height of the second hit, so you send them up higher for, of course, the ignited follow-up. As they say, added. This is the grounded version, but the air version made it harder to carry momentum, but reduced the forward speed, reduced the upward forward speed, reduced the gravity going up, and then increased it going down. Kind of a lot of changes here, but it's to all set up for ignited from what I'm reading. Bandit Revolver, reduced upward movement speed as it's faster than before. The window transition to second has been reduced by 2 frames, so it's quicker to do the cancel. Land recovery changed from 12 to 13. Oh wow, that's more punishable. As it lands faster than before, there's no change to the frame advantage on block, so this is still a mid move to use. Bandit Bringer, all versions, added proximity requirement preventing it from hitting an opponent located behind him. This is the Mega Fist change, so you can't hit people behind you anymore. Pretty huge. But when you do the grounded version, reduced knockback probably makes it easier for, of course, knockdown and Oki, but I don't know what it does for block. It could be bad. And they removed the throw-in vault on Wild Throw. That's we know in a lot of the characters. We're going to see that a lot. In Fafnir, the opponent will now tech upon landing. Removed the wall bounce effect on clean hit and added a tumble effect. Wait, that's actually better. That might actually be better because tumble effects let you do kind of any follow-up you want. That's kind of mad. Tyrant Rave, obviously you're in counter hit, can't roam and cancel, and the clean hit no longer occurs when hitting as the first hit in a combo. Wow, that's pretty random. Saul's changes seem overall neat, but I don't think a lot of them mean anything. A lot of them are kind of nothing burgers or go with the system mechanics, so he's a bit the same, I'd say. But Kiske, air backdash, expanded their heart box. Oh, he was very small. Okay, so he's a bit easier to hit when he's doing air backdash. Close slash, change attacks hitboxes above a certain height into follow-up hitboxes. This is the anti-air change that we talked about earlier. Far slash recovery went from 16 to 20, that's huge, more whiff punishable, and it went from -5 to -9. Harder poke to just throw out there for the far slash, and it seems to be the same with crouching slash. Did the exact same thing, made it harder to just use, and just it's way more whiff punishable and block punishable. Stun Edge added a new move and reduced the horizontal blowback on air hit, so that means they no longer go flying. as far as they used to on air hit, so that's good. That's good. The heavy version, they expanded the hitbox backwards, so that means it'll catch people if they try to jump over it but just miss the timing. And of course, lightning strike has been added, as they say here, but they save for charged edge during dragon install. Hit stop changed from 15 to 11 frames. Point blank range went from plus 82 to plus 62. Make it a bit more fairer, but that's still double digits. Added a follow-up hitbox to the upper part of the second hitbox for stun dipper, so that could be better for consistency's sake. Patriarch during dragon install increases knockback on hit for the final hit. That might be bad, that might affect combos, but I'm not too sure yet. Counter removed on DP, and DP way more punishable from what I'm reading here. Way more punishable. They want DPs to be hittable in this game now. Increase horizontal blowback and decrease the launch height, so basically you're reset back to neutral. The same with air version, even with the shock state. And right, the lightning, the character has got the same changes to every other super. Wait, okay, up next we got May Disaster Passion. As we know, 4 frame, 5 frame. Consistent change you guys see here. Every 4 framer, 5 framer. Crouching kick adjusted the hurt box, expanded the hurt box upwards, so it's a little less avoiding, you know. And a free K added a proximity requirement for the horizontal, so probably doesn't catch certain tools that are a bit funky. Good to know. Close slash, tougher to use as an anti-air. Again. Standing heavy slash recovery changed from 15 to 23, minus 4 to minus 12. No longer the poke you can just throw out there from what I'm seeing. Yeah, gonna have to think a little bit with this poke now. Sweep, this is 2D, expanding the heart box upwards, so it's more hittable when you jump in. Mr. Dolphin, charge time, okay, we know about this. And expanding the push box upon an successful attack. That might be decent, but I don't know. But if you do the S version of Dolphin, they reduce the knockback on hit, so that means the opponent's closer, that's good for pressure. Remove the stagger effect on counter hit, that's actually really bad. The stagger effect is what let you get command grab, guaranteed damage. You can't do that anymore. That's actually huge. Increase upward movement speed on block. That may be decent, but I don't know. As a result, frame advantage on block went from -3 to -4. Okay, no, it's bad, but you're not punishable. Again, every attack is a 5 framer now. Unless they do an IB, you're fine. And they didn't change the IB timings, so yeah, a lot of people thought they did. They didn't. Those people playing the game were just that cracked. Reduce upward movement speed on hit. As a result, frame advantage on hit changed from 0 frames to +3. That's really good. That's actually really good. So if you hit them, you get turns. Really good turns. Okay, on the hair hit now blows the opponent back on the way May's facing and decrease the launch height on air hit. That's actually pretty decent. Should lead to more consistent setups. Added a follow-up hitbox behind the attack hitbox and expanded the proximity required for the backwards. So they can kind of hit the back, but they can't be directly behind. So it's like if they try to jump and they're on top, you can hit them. Reduce the knockback of heavy, that's again pretty good, that's the plus frame one. And the charge changes for vertical, basically the same. Expanded the hitbox and heartbox forward and downward, that's decent. Expanded the stage edge collision box forward. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I'm gonna have to research that one or get you guys to tell me. This makes it more difficult to cross up the opponent in the corner. That's probably more healthier, but expanded the proximity requirement of the descending part backwards, I see. So it's a little toxic in the corner, a little less toxic. Able to go bump, bump, you're never gonna cross them up. Increase the knockback on vertical, increase forward movement speed as well, so that means it's quicker, should be better for anti-airing. And heavy, when the distance of the opponent is above a certain amount, forward movement speed now increases depending on the distance. Reduce the knockback on hit for the descending part, and remove throw and vol, and the super has the usual changes. Axl Low, he's gonna get hit hard if they're talking about these 2k changes, and as we're seeing, expanded the heart box. Ooh, that might suck for the Axl mains. The 6k decreased launch height on ground hit and expanded the hitbox downward during startup. Very interesting. I think that'll be for the better. But I don't know how the launch height's going to do. That'll affect combos by a good deal. Close slash no longer anti-airs, as we know. And crouching heavy slash does less damage for both hits. Way less damage from what we're seeing here. This XH changed to a mid attack, no longer an overhead. That means there has to be good changes. Let's see. It's quicker. That's good. More damage on hit. That's good. The scaling's higher. Decreased combo blowback scaling when hitting as the first hit in a combo. That's actually huge. So if you land this, you can get some good damage. It's just not an overhead anymore. Could be used as a decent whiff punisher or getting over lows, but besides that, it's no longer that same tool. And we're just a knockback in the second half of the active frames, so the opponent's a lot closer during the later hit of the tool, making it more consistent. Expanding the hitbox forward for the second half of the active frames, like they said. Second flash, recovery changed from 26 to 20, so you're less whiff punishable and less block punishable, however still minus 13. And it is a projectile, so still counter hit state. When you do up, a hip stop applied to the opponent, block changed from 40 to 18 frames, so they're stuck in more block stun. So they're stuck in a more of a hit stun situation, maybe more combos off that, maybe we'll land a 2k, but I don't know. However, if you hold down, which is where he spins it, they strengthen the vacuum effect, and the vacuum effect now ends when the active frames end, so it lasts as long as it is active. Now pulls in the opponent hitting with any part other than the final hit, and increase the knockback of the final hit. It's pretty good. Wow! Winter Mantis. This is a huge one. Change to a low physical attack. That is the command grab. I was thinking that. The command grab is no longer a command grab. It's a low. That is huge. That's actually a huge change. Wow. That might make it worse. Let's keep reading. When hitting a grounded opponent as the first hit in a combo, the standard lock-on cinematic still occurs. The lock-on cinematic does not occur when hitting an airborne opponent or hitting as a part of a combo. However, the recovery went from 34 to 15. And adding the guard crush effect. The frame advantage on block at point blank range is plus 23? So you lost a combo, you lost a command grab tool, but you got a combo and a pressure tool now. That's something to think about. I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of like it being a command grab, but if it's a low, it's a low, I guess, you know. Snail, reduce knockback, okay. Snail, midair, remove wall bounce effect. Ugh, that's a bit rough. No more fun. Rainwater, decrease launch height. Rainwater, if you hold it, active frames change from 118 to 59. That's pretty huge. And increase the projectile's movement when the distance from the opponent is above a certain amount. The projectile now returns to its original movement when it touches something. And the projectile now returns to its original movement speed when reflected. So he comes out quicker if he's been reflected. Sickle Storm has the same changes as the other supers. Alright, I took a sneak peek at Chipp, as we know, 5-framer, huge. 6p, same changes as the other ones, huge. Close slash, no longer anti-airs, huge. Can no longer be cancelled into crouching heavy slash on whiff. You can no longer Rika crouching S into crouching heavy. That is quite mad. Alpha Blade can now be followed up with Alpha Blade Diagonal. Along with this, the specifications have been completely revised. Remove the slight knockback that occurred when the projectile touched something. So now you can do Alpha Alpha, Alpha Alpha. That's pretty interesting. When you do Alpha Blade with the kick version, Diagonal, the properties now change when activated as a follow-up from Alpha Blade Horizontal. So hitting with this is a lot different now, I think. Alpha Blade on the ground, increase the horizontal blowback in the air hit and decrease the launch height of the air hit, so you might lose out in some combos, DP lost counter hit, and DP is more punishable. However, Rika here, Reshoot, reduce the knockback. That might make it worse, but I don't know. Because you want the knockback on Chipp, because you can get ulti off any situation, you're quick enough. Wall Run, remove the slight knockback that occurred when the projectile touched something. That box at Alpha no longer appears transition and Wall Run from Alpha Blade. Extended the time it takes before Wall Run attacks can be performed when transitioning the Wall Run, so it's no longer as easy. And from what I'm seeing here, damage nerfs across the board from Wall Run loops. So all of the attacks from Wall Run does a lot less, and the Tightrope has longer recovery, and it doesn't last as long. So that may affect a lot of combos and setups. Now you gotta be cautious with the amount of damage that you're missed out on the rope run. And up next is the man himself, my character. Jesus Christ, I am so scared to read this, you have no idea. Okay. Forward walk, increased movement speeds. Okay, that's a pretty good change immediately. I'm kind of curious to see where this leads to. Close slash, harder anti-air. Crouching slash, expand the hitbox and heartbox downwards. This is to catch low profiles. Even though it's good at it, there's some things it's inconsistent against. 5H, now launches the opponent on ground hit. Launches the opponent? So when you do, that launches the opponent. That's mad. As a whiff punish tool, this is probably going to be really good. Blowback adjustment, opponent will now tech upon landing, so no hard knockdown, they took that away. Reduce the horizontal blowback on counter hit and increase the tumble duration on counter hit. So this will lead to, hit my thing, this will lead to a bigger combo state. That's interesting. That's really, really interesting. 6H now moves forward during this action, but they reduce the damage and the active frames went up to 7, so your Goldlewis can no longer backdash this. That's pretty huge. JD expanding Heartbox downward. Good. Potemkin Buster, remove the ability to withstand an attack. They took away the armor. Wow, that is quite the change. Took away the armor, took away the throwing ball. Decent. Slide head, change the startup animation. This is to make it so it's a bit more visual to notice, and the visual change only does not affect the attack properties or the heartbox. Hammerfall, charge time, as we know, quicker. Remove the ability to withstand low attacks. So it can only tank mids. If you throw it a low, that's not happening, that's a counter hit. And no longer face the opponent when yeah, it's an awkward thing, you won't turn around when someone does a left right, fair enough. Hammerfall break, remove the tanking lows. He went from having all the armor to losing all the armor very quickly. I kinda like this, I'm a fan. Reflected projectiles, now the transition in the same explosion as hit 30 frames after startup. So that takes a little longer to come out, explosion no longer now occurs closer than before. So that allows Potemkin to do more with it, I think. The hit stop of the explosion went from 15 to 7, so the opponent doesn't get locked into plus frames. The opponent will now tech upon a landing when getting hit by a projectile. Heavily Potemkin Buster, the character is in a counter hit state until the end of recovery and can no longer be roaming cancelled. Gigantic active frames from... That's a huge nerf. 465 to 105 frames, meaning it's only out for a second and 40-ish frames compared to the, like, almost 5 seconds, probably way more. Increase the projectile's movement speed though. This is actually a nerf I suggested. I was like, make it last way little, but it goes way quicker. So I quite like this. Projectile new decelerates when touching the opponent after deceleration and returns to the original speed after a set amount of time. These are some healthy changes to Potemkin. Hammerfall still knockdowns. Bar Slash and 5H are still decent tools. And Flick is still as strong as it is, it's just the tool that comes after Flick isn't as busted. So I think Potemkin did get a solid nerfing, but I don't think he got anything absurd in terms of nerfing, besides obviously some of the universal changes. He might be a mid-tier after this, honestly. But we'll have to wait and see, but I like what I'm seeing. Faust, okay. This character needed some buffs, so I'm expecting something good. Alright, crouching punch, extended the heart box so you can hit him. Crouching kick, expanded the heart box so you can hit him. Low slash, harder anti-air whiff. Crawl, expanded the heart box. Oh god, these are all nerfs. The animation can now be interrupted with S when touching the opponent. That's kind of cool. So you can do some mix XXs with it. You can go in with mix XX and then stop and then land. That's kind of mad. Throwing ball and love midair. Increase the launch hit of the explosion part. And love during the afro state is unchanged. So you get more of a combo state off love. Donut can now be acquired while falling. And added the effect that recovers the tension gauge upon acquisition. Okay. Banana can now be acquired when falling. Note that the banana peel cannot be acquired. Fair enough. Afro can now be acquired when falling. Acquiring an afro while already in the Afro state, now extends the duration. The duration is not extended if the Afro was on fire. That's actually huge for Faust. If Faust enters hit stun state after the Afro is ignited by a fire attribute attack such as a jump D, the burning Afro now disappears. Okay. So if he gets it on fire, he doesn't get the explosion, it just goes away. So he doesn't get affected by his own Afro. I quite like that. It fixes an issue causing burst gauge to increase when the opponent wall sticks from the Afro explosion. Yeah, I think they fixed them quite a wee bit. Trumpet can now be acquired when falling, that's good for Faust because he's got good air movement. Reduce the forward movement speed, as a result the trumpet now falls closer than before, making it easier for Faust to get to, and reduce the upward movement speed. Reduce applied gravity, as a result trumpet now falls more slowly, making it easier to acquire midair. The time it takes to reach the ground remains the same as before. Okay. So trumpet got buffed for Faust, and Bone Crushing Excitement, all the usual changes except this one, comes out quicker, he needed this. And what could this be? No longer as punishable, and you can now store the final item, but when doing so, as punishable. Good to know. Millia Rage. I'm not expecting anything too much. Okay, they did a lot with her. Jesus Christ. Alright, usual changes. Biframer. Anti-air still the same. More of a heart box. Harder anti-air. And a bit more of a heart box. The usuals. Same with the sweep. Alright, Bad Moon. When activated above a certain altitude, rather opponents can no longer tech upon landing the final hit. So that's a hard knockdown on Bad Moon. Jesus Christ. Decrease the launch at the final hit, so you might be able to get a combo depending on the launch of this tool. I don't know how I feel about that. Bad Moon looks way stronger. Tandem Top S. Reduce the horizontal blowback, decrease the launch height so she doesn't get a combo from it, but increase the projectile's forward movement speed, so it's a bit more of a poke tool at times. Fix an issue preventing the heart box appearing on her feet upon landing. Iron Savior. The animation now ends when switching positions with the opponent. Counter hit vector removed, that's pretty huge, so she can use it without getting heavily punished. And decrease the launch height on ground hit. Ooh, that's a bit rough. Barrage, that's where she goes through. Expanded the heart box upward. Okay. Last Shaker. Okay, this tool's a whatever tool, so let's see. -5 to -4. Less recovery. Increase the knockback on the block in the final hit, and reduce knockback. It's just safer. It's just way safer. Last Shaker when you mash. -7 to -6. Damage goes up. Reduce knockback in the final hit. Now launches the opponent on ground hit when the final hit. So if you mash it, you get more of a reward. Yeah, reduce horizontal blowback on final hit. Increase launch height in the final hit. And change hit stun state when the final hits. So she gets a combo off this if she mashes it. Okay. Now if you get maximum press, way more punishable, more damage. However, you get like a giga combo from what I'm seeing here. Massive change to this though. Artemis, this is the really annoying tool that's hard to catch. Now -8 on block. A lot more recovery. Increase launch height, since the recovery is increased, the follow-up input buffer remains unchanged at 6 frames, and expanded the heart box downwards while in the air. Winger Super, usual changes, and they expanded the heart box on the descending part, so it's easier to hit. God, I need more Waller. Alright, Zao! This is going to be an interesting one. Flow slash, harder anti-air whiff, and it does appear most of the changes are on Eddie himself, which is probably for the better. When cancelling Eddie's actions, which is most of them, the latter half of the animation can now be cancelled into flow. Oh, that's cool. Give it more of a use to it because it's kind of a dead tool. Pierce, changed from 3 frames to 6 frames, so it's really active. Start of the second hit changed from 31 to 33, along with this. Eddie's total duration has went from 56 to 58. Okay, so that means it's a bit more of a longer lasting tool. Damage is lowered, and the hit stop is still a little bit longer, but I don't think it'll matter too much. Increase the launch height after the ground bounce when the hit lands in the air. Decent. Damage lowered on That's a Lot, and damage lowered on Frog. Damage lowered on Oppose as well. They're just hitting all the damage. Float no longer consumes any life gauge. Oi, oi, oi. Input buffer window for Eddie made easier. Increase Eddie's forward movement speed when you do it with kick. Same with slash. And reduce Eddie's upward movement on slash. Oi, oi, oi. I'm a bit scared for float. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Float looks like it might be a lot better now. Invite hell. The projectile does not extend past the corner. That's good to know. A bit more consistent around the corner. Startup changed from 18 to 16 frames, so it's faster and way more active. However, the recovery is about 49 frames, still punishable. Remove the throw-in vol, decrease the launch height on counter hit of Drunker Shade, that may affect combos. Increase Eddie's recovery by 3 on his Sun Void, the aerial super, and increase the recovery on the grounded version. That's where he sends the sword. -2 on block now, no longer plus, you can challenge him. Rameletahl. Alright, so these are the usual changes. Oh, I'm seeing. Boom, boom. Wait, no. Yeah. Far slash reduce the downward hitbox of the greatsword so you can go under it. 5H reduce the downward hitbox and hardbox so you can go under it. Easier at 6P as well. 6H reduce the horizontal blowback so that means you won't go flying across the screen. Sweep went from 34 to 30 and is -4 on block instead of -8. Probably because it's got crappy range, they have to give it some type of reason to use it. JK decreased launch height on hair hits, so that means less air combos off of JK when you do an air. JH and landing recovery changed from 9 to 6 frames. That means it's a bit safer to use. Bayonetal, this is sending the sword, the S version. Stop of the sword attack changed from 20 to 15, so it comes out quicker, just a knockback of the great sword attack. Increase the guard crush duration of the great sword attack, and since the startup is faster, there's no change to the frame data on block. Delayed the startup of the explosion attack by 25 frames. Ay, that's more setups. That is more setups for Ram. Grounded opponents can no longer tech on landing, so that means hard knockdown. Reduce horizontal blowback of the sword, that means you're closer, and remove the wall bounce effect so you no longer get bomboed about. She has to be close to you for the pickup. In the heavy version, decrease the launch height of the greatsword attack, so it's a bit the same. Darius, reduce horizontal blowback and decrease the launch height, so it's no longer a combo tool, I think. The window wipers comes out quicker and does less damage per sword. Okay, good to know. Okay, Rika, decrease the launch height on hair hits, so that means you're not going to get a combo off of the first hit of Rika if it's an air hit. And the second hit, reduce the guard crush duration. And it went from -2 to -8, a bit more punishable. And Ondo, the kick, 28 frames to 27, recovery 51 to 47, so it's a bit more safer to use and comes out quicker. And the attack level changed from 2 to 1, so that means less counter hit comboage. And frame advantage on block went from -4 to -3, a lot safer. Strength of the vacuum effect, so the rock does look a bit stronger, but it doesn't look as good on hit, I would say. Decrease the launch height, yeah. And then super, usual changes, and the lion, who I think has avoided a ton. Yeah, you got a lot of changes, please tell me most of the nerfs. Alright, 6P, usual change, same with glow slash, usual. 2S, usual, higher heart box. Standing heavy slash lost its attack level, might not have the same counter hit as you know, and it's -10 on block. 6H no longer launches the opponent on ground hit, so that's going to keep them standing. The sweep made it harder to carry momentum and reduced the forward movement speed. That's good, 2D is an amazing tool, and added horizontal proximity requirement, meaning on certain horizontal planes, you have to be in a certain spot for it to work. The fireball, charge time's quicker, we know this. Same with the anti-airs. Flash kick, more punishable, as we know, big change that's been happening. Counter hit effect removed, you don't get a counter hit anymore. Increase the horizontal blowback for the second hit and decrease the launch height, again usual changes. Heavy version though, land recovery went from 12 to 16, and the frame advantage on hit went from 27 to 23. This might mess with some meaty setups to do a back turn. Cross-up tilt, they made it more consistent. There were some recovery issues. Till when he stabs the ground to get the stance, reduce the knockback on block and increase the knockback on hit, so probably a better tool to use on offense. Alright, back turn, fixed an issue, fixed a bug. Jump was added, can now be cancelled into jump, we know this. And parry has more recovery, so you can actually hit it. If the animation does not transition into cinematic after withstanding an attack, the recovery is now reduced by 3, so if there's a bit more jank, you can just send it. But he's still in a bit more of a punishable state, you know, he's a bit more hittable. Ground opponents can no longer tech on landing, so you get a hard knockdown off the parry, and reduce the horizontal blowback and decrease the launch height. So maybe less of a combo, but more of an opportunity to do stuff. And the super, the usual changes. So he got hit pretty decently, but I don't think it's enough in my mind. Nagoriyuki, this is huge, I think. He got some insane new moves. It's good to see how it works into his toolkit. Defense modifier value for blood gauge at level 2 changed from 1.01 to 0.98, reducing damage taken. That's pretty huge. And when it's at level 3 or blood rage, yeah, so they made it so you still take more damage, but it's going to be way less than before. You're no longer Zao health at max blood, which is something I noted during the gameplay trailer. Close slash can now be, wow, can actually be jump cancelled. Couldn't do that before. And the usual anti-earth rule, crouching heavy changed from 18 to 16 frames when you're at level 2 blood. Increase the blood gauge recovery on block, same with crouching H and 6H. That's pretty good. Command normal 5S after command normal 4, so that's the bump. Reduce the wall break value gain, so might lead to some more Oki. Blood Rage, activation no longer can be delayed with Faultless, yep, and then no longer be delayed by Faultless. Reduce the depletion speed of the blood gauge. Added a new move. And Blood Sucking Universe got rid of the throw invincibility, changed the behavior of the blood gauge upon success. Previously, the blood gauge continued to decrease over a set period of time, but going forward, the blood gauge will decrease at a fixed amount. Don't know what that fixed amount is, but we'll find out soon enough. And super is the usual changes. Nothing too insane there. Nagoriyuki's a bit the same, I would say. Besides the defense, he's a bit more tankier, but now it's Giovanna. Oh, so she's a bit easier to hit now. That's the main thing, they wanted to make it a bit more of a standard. Along with this, heart boxes of various normals and specials were also expanded upwards. A bit more easier hit. Enhanced state, the enhanced state is now maintained for a set period of time, even if the tension drops below it, so you get more fun to mess about with it. 5P is a 5 framer, close slash is less of an anti-air, but they expanded hitbox and heartbox forward, so you can hit a bit more forward with it. Crouching slash now moves forward during action, that's strong for fuzzy setups. Increase the launch height of the initial hit on air hit, that's good. And crouching heavy slash expanded the hitbox and heartbox during the second half of the active frames, probably make it a bit more consistent. And jump dust startup is a lot quicker now, 15 frames. Sepultura, this one which does the roundhouse effect with the dog. Recovery changed from 20 and is now -4 instead of -5. No longer punishable by a 5 framer. And reduced the knockback on block, so she's closer but not punishable anymore. If you IB it into throw, you're gonna get punished though. When it's powered up during Chive, it's basically the same. 20 frames, -4, no longer -3. So on the Sadte, I believe this is the DP, or forward dash during Chive. Expand the hitbox upward during the act, start up 7-8, and expand the hitbox backwards during the second half 11-14, and reduce the upwards heartbox from the transition in the air 9-14. So a bit more hittable, but a bit more consistent in using it as an anti-air. Super, usual changes, and aerial super made it easier for attacks to activate the cinematic to the opponent when transition and lock on the cinematic. Recovery on block or whiff went from 10 to 18 frames. I don't think that's punishable though. Yeah, I don't think that's as easy to just throw out there anymore. Okay, that's good to know. Overall, she's a bit the same, I would say. A bit harder to hit, but appears to be a bit the same. Anji, this is a character that does everybody's head in, so will he get nerfed? Who knows. Crouching kick went at a 6 framer and increased the horizontal blowback on hair hit. whatever, honestly. No longer anti-airs. Far slash, expand the hurt box upward, but easier hitting a jump in, and 5H, decrease the launch height after a ground bounce, meaning some combos no longer connect anymore. Crouching heavy slash now moves forward during the action, so that'll be decent for pressure scenarios. Reduce the knockback and no longer launches the opponent on grounded hit, has to be a counter hit I'm assuming, if you want that launch. JD, reduce the horizontal blowback after a wall bounce and decrease the launch height after a wall bounce. Might mess with some combos and mess with some air scenarios. Fujin, if you charge it, can no longer be cancelled to the Fujin Wow. By adding the stagger effect on hit, that means you can do run up throw on hit. The follow-up attack Nagiha, Rin, Ahara, and Ichishiki are now enhanced, so charging it makes the charged Fujin options enhanced rather than just being able to cancel into another Fujin. Nagia, decrease the launch height. Rin, that may mix with combos actually. Rin, recovery, so it's less punishable, -7. The opponent will now land upon taking a hit, no hard knockdown, and you reduce the horizontal blowback so they're closer. It's a nothing burger. Ko, increase the vertical combo blowback scale in the second hit. And Shigatsu no Haikubu, hope I said that right. The special damage scaling is now applied 60 frame after standing an attack. That's kind of neat. That's a spin. So you might be able to do more damage when you spin. That's kind of neat. And when you do fish, damage went down to 40. And the super, the parry super, lasts a little less longer. Has more recovery. The character is now counter hit and can no longer roam and cancel. Anji got hit pretty hard, but we'll have to see what these enhanced things do on Fujin. It's got me curious. Last character of the base roster, Ino. And she got some decent things from what I'm seeing here, Jesus. Air dash. The movement distance now changed from when putting up or down at the end of the animation. Okay. Increase forward movement speed at the end of the animation. That could be fun. That could be a fun thing to mess about with. Air backdash has got the same thing. 6P. Same changes, crouching kick, easier hit. Close slash, harder anti-air, usuals. Standing 5H, comes out quicker, but decrease the launch height at the bounce of the ground hit, so probably gonna mess with some combo states. And crouching heavy slash, expanding the hurt box upwards, easier hit. 6H, is a lot less recoverable actually, comes out in -4 on block and 15 frames on whiff, so that means she can kind of use it a bit more on block and not have to immediately go into special. It's a bit more of a tool that's usable. Chemical Love, remove the wall bounce effect, thank god. Affects combos heavily. Mad Love Agito, decrease the launch height, so less of a combo situation. Sultry Performance, that's the dive kick in midair. Remove mechanic that allows leaping up with an additional input. Damn. Increase the hit back on hit for a normal version only. The whole version remains unchanged. Blowback for a normal version. Basically, you no longer get solid hit states from what I'm seeing here. Could affect combo states and actually getting something started afterwards. But when you do S, it's got the same changes, the exact same changes. And Heavy can now leap up with an additional input on the final hit. Oh, that seems cool. Megalomania, that's the command grab. The timing for a throw invincibility now matches the attack startup. That may be good. And when you do the super grounded version, this is the one that is plus on block if you let it happen. The land recovery changed from 0 to 9 and reduced the applied gravity. So that means she no longer stays in the air with plus frames, she's going to land with plus frames. Reduce the knockback of the projectile. And remove the guard crush effect from the projectile, and it's now -17. Okay, no, it's no longer a plus frame tool. You can block this and punish it now. The DP super is now a punishable DP super. That's interesting. Wow, okay, I don't know how I feel about that. You know, got hit pretty hard, I would say. These are mostly nerfs, but again, everybody's gonna get mostly nerfs from what I'm reading. Goldlewis, the first DLC character. So he's focused around offense, so a lot of his design decisions have to be based on keeping offense, but still affecting them. But 6P, usual changes, 4 framer, as you can see there. Crouching kick, Made it easier carrying momentum, and it's active for 6 frames. That means it's a real meaty. That's a bit mad. Low slash, no longer anti-airs. Far slash made it easier carrying momentum. I don't know what this carrying momentum thing's about. I'll have to wait and see, but active frames changed from 3 to 5, meaning it's a poke now. Reduced horizontal blowback on air hit, and increase the launch height on air hit, and change the hit stun state on air hit. So this might be a good thing to catch backdash now. It's really bad at it. Crouching slash, remove forward and upward hurt boxes. Ooh, okay. So that means you can't hit it as easier now. A real poke. 5H comes in 14 frames, way quicker. Recovery 23 minus 10 on block, reducing knockback, but now launches the opponent on counter hit. Okay, might be decent after glow slash. Being with Typhoons, damage went down and security level when transitioning between changed from 50 to 100%. So if they want to use a behemoth into behemoth, it's now 100% in security. Mad. Oh dude, they changed all the behemoths. Okay, Christ. So the behemoth that's a low, so it goes like that. Decrease the launch height, meaning less of a combo on the later half of the active frames, and the one that is that one, the other low, where it's like he kind of swaps sides with you, decrease the launch height again, may affect combos. Thunderbird, active frames, doesn't last as long, but when the projectile touches something, it still triggers though as for its final hit as before. That's a bit mad. I'm not too sure what that means, but basically this doesn't last as long anymore. He sends a drone, drone's out, that's it. Skyfish, the minimum number of projectiles fired changed from 3 to 12, so you have to shoot at least 12 bullets. Along with this, the total duration changed from 59 to 86 frames. Down with the system, got the usual changes. Goldlewis looks about the same, could be a bit stronger of a poke character now. Ooh, Jacko, second DLC character. Not a ton here. Some of the usual changes that we talk about from Far Slash 2K and the anti-air properties of Close Slash, standing 5H. Added a hurt box to the front of the second hit, easier to hit. At 6H, grounded opponents can no longer tech upon landing from the second hit. Ooh, that's hard knockdown. Pick up Servant, fixed an issue, so they fixed a bug. Hopefully this helps. Throwing the Servant, holding the button now changes its trajectory of the Servant, might make it stronger, and startup is 4 frames slower compared to the normal version. Okay, countdown, oh wow, the Servant will now disappear if Jacko enters a hit stun state and no longer consumes the Servant gauge upon startup. So when he starts the countdown, the boom may be a bit more usable, but when you get hit, it's gone. And for every releasing driver, same changes except it does less damage. So it's a bit the usual. Jacko's a bit kinda unchanged, but a lot of our pokes got affected in a massive way. Happy Chaos, dude, we saw this guy get nerfed to hell, and I'm curious to see how much worse it gets. 5k, less blowback scaling, so less of a combo state. 6k, expanded hurt box upward, easier hit. Sorry, that's 2k, but 6k now launches the opponent ground hit. I did see that in the video, so that means less re-slump loops. Slow slash, harder anti-air. Far slash now launches the opponent on grounded hit. Again, no funky setups for him. Crouching slash has less recovery. Already good poke, got a little bit easier to use, that's for sure. J2K now activated with jumping heavy slash. Along with this, it can no longer be cancelled from jumping punch or jumping kick. That's huge. That is huge. That stops a lot of air scenarios. JS added a Gatling combination into jumping heavy slash. Okay, jumping heavy slash added. This activates previous J2K. So JH is now J2K. Ground throw. Recovery change from 39 to 29, so he gets more active and he gets more frames. But I noticed it launches him up high now. I wonder if that affects anything. Concentration, the gun unequip animation is no longer performed when the concentration gauge is depleted by fire. Oh, so he needs to put away the gun. When he's out of concentration, he needs to put away the gun now. At the ready, we know it's got changed to heavy slash and removed the counter hit effect and added a vertical proximity requirement. Mad. Rectical, along with the changes at the ready, properties have been completely revised. Stance is now cancelled when jumping while holding the gun. Mad. Fire can no longer be used until the reticle is focused, so that means no more RNG shot. It has to happen. Now it appears in the opponent's position instead of random location, and the reticle's position no longer randomly moves when performing moves while the reticle is visible. The reticle can now track the opponent's position at high speed, so again, no more RNG shot, but no more guard crushes into whatever the hell he wants. Steady aim. Fire properties can now change by pressing up or down. That's the focus teleporty shots. When you do fire, the input buffer window has been made 5 frames earlier, so you can shoot a bit quicker. Remove the mechanic where fire's properties were enhanced by focusing the reticle for a set period of time, but damage is now increased while the curse effect is active, so curse is more of a damage booster. Fire does more damage, but reduces the horizontal blowback on air hit and increases the launch hit on air hit, so on an aerial hit you'll get a lot more. However, horizontally they won't go flying back as far, so easier combo with. However, shooting when you're doing this, shooting when you do steady aim, fire 6 times during the action now transitions into at the ready state. Okay, wow. Increase horizontal blowback, decrease the launch height, and reduce the vertical combo blowback scaling. Again, probably makes it easier combo. Wait, no, horizontal blowback? That means they go flying and they no longer pop up as hard. Damn. Cancel aim. The stance can no longer be cancelled or very brief immediately after fire. Oh, that's awesome. Reload can no longer be cancelled midway through the action, along with this total duration of 41 frames. And focus went to 41 frames as well. Roll expanded the heart box upwards, easier hit, and reduce the front and back heart boxes. So harder hit vertically, easier hit vertically. Easier hit vertically, harder hit horizontally. Scapegoat, increase the backward movement speed, and the clone now erases the opponent's hitbox. Huh? Oh, so that means when I do that, the hitbox disappears. So if that happens and it's a super active move, let's say it's active for 20 frames, it's active for 1, and then the opponent can hit what's there. That's quite mad. Dead stop when the clone withstands the attack changed to 5 frames. Previously, dead stop depended on the attack withstood. Move the spawn position of the clone backwards during the clone changed 180 frames to 90 frames. So it doesn't last as long, but it can stop hitboxes. Kinda mad. Curse! This is something we already know a ton about. Added a hitbox to the thrown ball and added the effect where fire does more damage and more projectile has from what we're seeing. Projectile now disappears upon touching the ground, made it easier affected by tension balance. A recovery change to 29 to 42. Love that. And reduced the projectile upward movement speed. Deus Ex, remove the mechanic that restores ammo and startup change to 28 frames. This is great. Happy Chaos got hit in such a good way, but I feel for Happy Chaos mains. I do. Baiken, she got the usual changes. 5p, obviously now a 5 framer, so no longer a 4 framer. And they expanded the heart box when she's tall, right? So when she's standing, she's a little bit easier to hit with jump ins. Let's see, recovery changed on crouching punch from 9 to 11, and the attack level went up to 1, and no change to the frame data on block. So that means you'll get a bigger reward on crouching punch. 6p, a bit the same changes. Crouching slash, higher attack level change. That could be good for counter hit combos, but I'm not too sure. Crouching heavy slash, ground opponents can no longer tech on landing on ground to decrease the launch height. That is very massive. So you're definitely gonna miss out on a lot, but that is hard knockdown on hit now. That's pretty good. Expanded the proximity requirement forward. Always with the proximities. I feel for them. Escabari, that's the one that pulls you in the rope, has less recovery. It's +7 on block and +4 depending on the situation. +7 on hit, +4 on block. Reduce the downward hitbox, so that means you can go under it. Kabari, startup change from 18 to 16, so it's way quicker. Kabari follow-up, the opponent will now tech upon landing, so no hard knockdown, and reduce the horizontal blowback, so they're closer despite the hard knockdown being gone. Yozansen, reduce the downward hitbox during startup, so that means it's going to be harder to hit. In the parry, parry can no longer be activated during the deflect shields. It could do that? I had no idea. Recovery changed from 26 to 33, so it's more punishable. Increase recovery by 7 in transition after attack at close range. Frame advantage on hit changed from plus 25 to plus 7? You can't do anything with that. If the animation does not transition to cinematic, the recovery is now reduced by 7 frames. Damage changed from 160. Increase the horizontal blowback, but decrease the height after ground bounce. Yeah, this is just worse. The parry is just worse. And the gun, yeah, no, the slash super, it's the same changes. 2H might be a better tool, from what I'm reading. 2S might be a better tool, but everything else is, don't know. Escabari is definitely better, same with Hkabari, but like, still though, those are huge changes on parry. Don't think it'll be as good. Testament, I'm expecting not a lot in Testament if I'm honest. Yeah, like this, 2k will be easier hit, close slash doesn't anti-air. Jumpy K is now more active, bit random. Stain, when applying stain to the opponent already in stain state, up to 2 stains can now be applied. That's a huge buff. The animation no longer stops during the super flash. Okay, cancelled during the counter effect. Who cares? Hit stop changed from 14 to 7 frames, so that means you'll get less of an easier combo pickup. Like, it's gonna be way harder to get, but you get 2 now, so that's good. Recovery changed from 37 to 41, that means it's only -2 on H Grave Reaper. Increase the launch height so you get more combo, and increase the projectile horizontal blowback, so that means it'll be harder to get horizontally. So if you've got the corner, it's great, mid screen, not so much. And reduce the projectile's launch height. However, if you charge it, reduce the projectile's horizontal blowback, so still plus, Unholy Diver is now quicker, has no attack level, so on counter or anything like that won't slow down the game. And it's less plus, it went from +1 to -12, punishable and block now. You have to be careful utilizing this tool. And the opponent will now tech upon landing, so that means no hard knockdown. And reduce the horizontal blowback on air hit and increase the launch hit on air hit. So you do get a better combo, just it's harder to use on block now. When you do the Succubus super, it's now quicker, and the reduced horizontal blowback after a ground bounce of the initial hit, so that means you'll be closer for the pickup. And your super 5 frames got the same changes. Testament got giga buffed, I would say. These are some pretty good buffs. Bridget. Okay, so she was a character that has been needing some help, and it doesn't look like she got a lot of it. Crouching Punch. Reduce the knockback, so that means you're a lot closer. 6k, increase the knockback, but increase forward movement speeds. That might be decent. Low slash, same properties. And when you do far slash, or crouch slash, the command normal, the follow up. Reduce the horizontal blowback, so that means you're closer. Increase the launch height, meaning combos are easier. Increase vertical combo blowback scaling, so you do less damage. And change the hit stun state, so it could be easier, and remove the wall bounce effect. Again, probably easier mid-screen. Corner-wise, you might miss out on some of the fun stuff you like doing. Stop and dash, bigger recovery, -12, aye. Rolling movement can now be activated on ground even when the yo-yo is not deployed. Ooh, so that means you're going to get access to more movement options even when the yo-yo isn't out. Starship, usual changes on DP, but increase the launch height of the final hit, so that means you get a bit more of a neutral reset. Kickstart my heart, -16, -27. Yeah, Bridget overall got some good changes, but some of them are like, is what is, isn't it? DP's a DP. Sin. Alright, glow slash harder anti-air with 6H, now -1 on block, that's decent. 5H, -1 on block, decent. 6H, increase forward movement speed, so he's going to move very quickly. And increase horizontal blowback on hair hit, so that means you're going to send them flying. Beak Driver adding a stagger effect on counter hit, meaning he can do dash up throw now, so that can be easier for low stamina combos. Increase horizontal blowback and reduce tumble duration for the follow-up, might affect combos pretty heavily. Hawkbaker, DP, no longer can cancel the follow-up actions when used as a combo starter. So when you do this raw, not for the iframes, but like let's say you're neutral, you don't get a combo situation. Counter effect removed. Usual DP changes. Then launches the opponent on ground hit with the second hit. Launches the opponent after the ground hit the second. Yeah, overall big nerfs to DP. And the follow-ups after DP reduce the knockback on hit, increase the forward movement speed. Ooh. Okay, so you might be able to get some decent stuff off Hawk Babe here in terms of combos. Hoof Stomp, follow-up, remove the wall bounce effect. That's going to hit combos pretty heavily. Elk Hunt follow-up, the kick. That's where you do the big boom. Fixed an issue, so they fixed the bug, so it's more consistent. Still growing, removed the mechanic where a stat was randomly increased. Added effect, they accelerate stamina, they just gave you XR Sin. And added effect that reduces the cooldown period of the stamina does not recover. However, recovery is a lot quicker. So you can just do this, it gives you better stamina, you got Giga buffed. Ride the Lightning, remove strike and throw invincibility. Wow. So that means you use Tyrant Barrel, or do you just not have iframes on supers? Usual changes though on this. And Tyrant Barrel now nullifies knockback applied to self, so that means it's easier combo, as he's no longer affected by onwards knockback near a stage corner. It's now easier to connect hits from max range pokes. Yeah, so Sin got pretty good buffs, I would say. Some decent nerfs all around, but definitely better buffs. Bedman, oi oi oi. Okay, 6p, usual changes, close slash, harder anti-air. 5h. Reduce horizontal blowback after a ground bounce. Okay, and increase launch height after a ground bounce. So you'll get a better combo stay after 5h. JS, increase the vacuum effect. Dude, people are hate Bedman JS. Ay ay ay. Reduce forward hitbox. So it doesn't reach as far, but its vacuum is way stronger. JD, remove the ability to jump cancel. Mad, they didn't even take that from Potemkin. Remove the ability to cancel into command movement. That's mad as well. Land recovery went to 16 frames and reduced the horizontal blowback after a ground bounce. So JD got heavily nerfed. So your pin, the air projectile enhanced by call 113C, now disappears if Bedman enters hit stun state. That's huge. The S version, the animation can now be interrupted with the S after startup. When interrupting the animation, reduced by 15 frames, the air projectile now disappears on hit, and it's the same with the H version, disappears on hit. Wow. And if you do the things, delay the timings with fall, recovery. Yeah, if you do the things where it's like, I'm going to stall my attack, or I'm going to make it come out quicker, the follow-up, you're in a bigger recovery state, and you delay your timing when he starts falling. And it does appear that you'll keep your enhanced versions if you stall it. So that's pretty good. Even after bed install going away, you just keep enhancing it, just keep holding on to it. And your super, the character's no longer in whatever. Bedman got some decent changes, but I don't think anything too effective, I would say. But the game's getting nerfed, so he might be stronger. Alright, I'm expecting a lot here from big man Asuka. Let's see. Close slash harder on the era of 6H, changed to mid attack, no longer an overhead, but comes out quicker and gives you a better combo. Cool. Test case 1. Removed shooting time stretch, both acceleration and deceleration. And quantity reduced mana went to 1. So everything went down. Quantity of Howling Metron went to 6 to 7. Delayed went to 5 to 6. And Howling Metron MS processing 5 to 6. So these are the cube tools and the staff tools, I think. Wait, not the staffs. The whatever. It's the auto card redraw. Test case 2. Remove high pass filter gravity and low pass. That's the staffs again. But recovery mana went down to 2-1. Metron Screamer, the Guard Crush went to 3-4. Terra Metron, that's the overhead, I think, 3-4. And the Scepter Metron, that is some of the cubes, 3-4. Test case 3, remove Gravity Rod, Shooting, Repulsive Rod, and hit some of the mana and bookmarks 2-1. However, Howling Processor went to 2-3, Delayed went to 3-4, RMS went to 3, and Chaotic went to 1-2. So more tools, less staffs. Because staffs are a part of the toolkit now. War. Chance. Spells can now be cast even when the mana cost is higher than the remaining amount when doing so. So that means if you had a teeny bit, you can still play it, but you're immediately in that burnout state where you've got no mana. The unique spell is now activated when the slot is empty. The spell cannot be cancelled into any other action. Okay, don't know what's going to happen there. Chant, casting mana. Okay, so chant, you'll do it and it'll summon a staff, but it costs mana. I see. And bookmark, for all of them, discarding and acquiring a spell is now done in a single motion. Okay, so it's like one thing. Recovery has been unified to match that. So again, one thing. Recover mana, remove the old K version consumes tension gauge, and S consumes health to the old P version and activate with down S. So you can no longer trade health for mana. Reduce mana cost, 600 free frames. Shooting time stretch, remove the guard crush effect. Shooting time stretch, added the guard crush effect. Howling Metron, increase mana. Delay, increase mana, increase mana, increase mana, increase mana. Added a follow up to the Lord part, added a follow up to the Lord part, increase mana, increase mana. A lot of it is increased mana for the effects of having less mana, I believe, so that's kind of mad. Increase mana and reduce the number of spells cast required to enhance. I think this will be good for a lot of the heads that love Asuka, but I'm just looking at here like, I'm confused. Johnny, this is a character that's been needing some adjustments, but not too mad. Let's see. Dash can now be special cancelled. Oh my god. It can be cancelled in special move as well. It can be jump cancelled. When doing so, the special move will carry momentum. Jesus Christ. So, if he does Misfinder, dash jump, that's approach till and a half, man. Close slash anti-air gone. Expand the hitbox forward for 2S so it reaches further. 5H reduced knockback, so that means he'll be closer to you. 6H now launches the opponent ground hit, that's massive, and increase the launch height and expand the hitbox forward, so 6H is a pretty good hitting tool to link into that flip he does. Misfinder, counter hit effect removed, so you can't link into super anymore. Adding a follow-up hitbox to the lower part of the hitbox for K Misfinder. Turn up, fix an issue where it disappeared even if Johnny entered hit state. Deal changes the trajectory of the card on S and now throws the card further than the K version. In Zenga, made it easier to carry momentum, so you do dash in Zenga, goes forward. Active went to 6 frames, so great for catching backdash. Unique blowback occurs when hitting during the second half of the active frames, and added a hitbox and hurtbox to the second half of the active frames. Usual super changes and the Joker trick, adding a follow-up hitbox to the lower part of the hitbox. Maybe can hit OTG. Overall, Johnny's about the same besides this dash. That seems quite mad to me. Elphelt. Okay, crouch and P, 5 framer now. 6P, usual changes about them, except decreased launch height, so maybe less combos on 6P. Usual change on close slash, harder anti-air, and expanded the hurt box backward during the start with 6H. Miss Charlotte, the Rika, a projectile. Miss Charlotte, the gun, a projectile with different properties now fire when holding the button. When holding, the start is 16 frames slower. That's cool. Very quirky. Miss Charlotte out of repair. Recovery changed from 10 to 17. Now transitions into recovery when touching the opponent. Frame advantage on block. -4 regardless where it's blocked. Reduce the knockback and reduce the horizontal movement speed. Again, not punishable unless IB into throw. Bum Bum Chocolate made it harder to carry momentum and reduce the forward movement speed. Harder to cross up left. Here I Go, and this is the Rikas. Add a stagger effect on hit for Here I Go when the follow up. Here I Go. It's quicker now, 17 frames. Up high, this is the overhead. Expanding the hitbox and hurtbox downward to the initial hit. And nailed it, this is the shotgun blast. The opponent will now tech upon landing, no hard knockdown. I don't think Elphelt got the changes she needed, if I'm honest. These are very bread and butter changes. I think the Bomb Bomb's kind of neat, but everything else was like, meh. But she's maybe easy to pick up, right? So this is just the nature of her character, I guess. Abba. Yeah, Jesus Christ. That is a long list of changes. And she needs it. She does need it. Hurtbox. Expand the hurtbox upward while standing. This is lower to the standard for characters in game, so she's easier to hit. Blah blah blah, we know the usual. 6B, usual changes, crouching punch. Oh god, they listed jealousy as well. Alright, crouching punch, 45, and recovery, 10 to 9, -1. Flow slash, harder anti-air whiff. Far slash, -11 now, no longer a stagger tool. Mad. Crouching slash, added a follow-up hitbox to the lower part of the hitbox, makes it easier to hit with. 5H now launches the opponent on grounded hit, a lot like Potemkin 5H now. Reduce the horizontal blowback after ground bounce, making it easier to connect with, and decrease the launch height after a ground bounce on counter hit. Again, making it more consistent with normal hit. JH, startup changed from 16 to 24 frame, and it's now active to 4 to 7. So it's slower but stronger in terms of activeness. JH and Jealousy just reduced the horizontal blowback after a ground bounce, so probably makes a harder combo after. Jealousy gauge initial value changed from 50 to 25%, so it starts off lower. 10 frame recovery period now occurs after the super flash ends of Jealousy Rage, so that means it's no longer 10 frames during, it's now after. This recovery has no throw invincibility and blocking aroma cancels are not possible. Activation can no longer be delayed by using faultless defense. Added punish text when taking damage during the action. Okay, you can hit her now. Bonding and dissolving ground when it comes to Jealousy standard. This is the quarter circle back heavy slash. Startup changed from 14 frames and it's now -2 on block, and they reduced the guard crush. Pretty mad. Increase the knockback on block as well, so you won't be as close. When done in midair, again, the fact that the key is just no longer +2 is amazing. Grounded opponents can no longer tech on landing, so this is hard knockdown in midair. Change in swaying, this is the dash for I believe. Recovery amount of Jealousy gauge changed from 50 to 25%. Ay. The overhead is now -4 on block, so that means it isn't really an RPS, it's like take your turn. And decrease the launch height after a ground bounce, so less of a combo state in standard state. Not an overhead in standard state, but in Jealousy is also -4, but increases the launch height. And as recovery has increased, the follow-up input buffer on the ground hit remains unchanged at 8 frames. Decrease the launch height, again making it hard to combo. Menacing Groan, I believe this is the low Rika. Decrease the launch height on hair hit, and when you do the low, reduce Jealousy gauge recovery amount. Recovery changed from 31 to 43 frames, meaning this is very, very punishable, -27. And when you do the follow-up, -27. Very, very punishable now. Frenzy and Astonishment add a recovery period where only blocking is possible after withstanding an opponent's attack. Previously, this is fully invincible state, making it difficult to predict the outcome of offense-defense. Going forward, the attack will no longer whiff, making the situation very clear. I quite like that. Going forward, the attack will no longer... Okay, startup time required to withstand an opponent's attack changed from 7 to 5, and recovery went from 37 to 53. Danzai did not get hit, which is insane. And again, usual changes on the super. When it comes to the Jealousy super, where you open the door, reduce the guard crush duration, and is only +24. So Abba got hit pretty hard, and the way I think it makes her a bit healthier to fight. Not too sure how I feel for the Abba mains though. Up next is Slayer, and he got a lot of stuff, man. Ay. Dash can now be cancelled into special moves. Well, it can be jump cancelled. Ay. When doing so, the special move carry momentum. I see. Kara Dandy Step. I see. Karas. We love it. Close slash on air, usual 6k. Fixing an issue where, okay, Heartbox is a bit more consistent. Crouching heavy slash added a Heartbox at his feet during the startup. So during the startup, you can hit him, but during the active frames, still the usual. 6H, this is where he kicks forward. Recovery changed from 16 to 13 frames, so less punishable. And the attack level of the first half is 1, so if he hits above him, it's 1, but it's still 4 later on. -7. Ay. When the second half is now advantage at +3, so if you get this hit as late as possible, so as a meaty tool, +3 tool. Pretty strong. Increase the knockback on hit for the second half of the active frames, reduce the knockback on the block at the second half of the active frame. So you're close, you're close. 2D added a horizontal proximity requirement, so you need to be in a certain distance for a hit. Map punch, now +1. Counter remains unchanged. Mad. Map punch kick, now -6 on block. And increase the knockback, reduce the horizontal blowback, increase the launch hit on hit. So probably good, probably good. Dandy step punch, reduce the damage of the follow-up pile bunker. Fair. Pile bunker added a follow-up hitbox behind the hitbox, probably making the back turn loops a bit more consistent. So the low, they reduce the horizontal blowback but increase the launch height on grounded hit, might be a combo starter now, and expand the hitbox upward. It's late the overhead, startup change from 13 to 21, so it's harder to react to. Wait, it's easier to react to, way easier. No longer iframes on the command grab, and Hands of Doom. As this is a follow-up move performed from an invincible backdash, adjustments identical invincible moves have been applied. However, since invincibility does not persist until startup, the situation on block and other aspects are more favourable than standard invincible moves. Counter hit effect removed. The character is in a counter hit state at the end of recovery. It can no longer roam and cancel. The startup can no longer be cancelled into overdrives. Oh yeah, they hit this hard. Added a stagger effect on normal hit, so you can go into command grab afterwards. And the scaling is a lot higher. And again, the combo state's going to be a way harder to get and increase the wall break value gain. Wow. So this is getting treated like a DP, despite the fact that it's not, which is kind of mad. And Super Map Punch removed the mechanic that caused it to hit twice at certain distances. They got a clean hit mappa. That's insane. Slayer overall feels nerfed, but that dash could really affect him in a strong way, but we'll have to wait and see. Dizzy! This is a character that could use some love. Alright, crouching punch, reduce knockback so they're closer. 6p, usual changes, close slash, usual changes, far slash. Made it easier, carry momentum, reduce the knockback of for all but the final hit. Esports button got better. 2D is now -16 on block. Mad, I don't know why they did this. Maybe make it more punishable in neutral. Jumping heavy slash, reduced knockback. Added a hitbox and heartbox downward, easier hit. And 2 hit whiff. Use this to catch fish. The projectile can now be spawned behind by putting S during the action. Wow. Projectile can now be spawned in front by pressing heavy slash during the action. Okay, that's quite mad. Michael Sword S. The opponent will now attack upon landing. So no hard knockdown, but added a tumble effect. Better combo state. And frame advantage on hit changed from 56 to 40. So it's still plus, but a bit harder to connect with. And the heavy slash version is now neutral. Neutral on block. Quite mad. And it increased the guard crush duration. So this is now a decent tool to just send out there. However, still jump punishable. Keep that in mind. Same thing with the super. And they fixed these gamma ray super cinematic. Very nice. Venom up next. 3 more. Let's get it. Whew. 6B, change the timing when the upper heart box is smallest from 3 to 4. Okay, usual, close slash usual. Crouching heavy slash, the angle of the ball deflect is -50 degrees. I don't know if that'll affect much, but increase the movement speed of deflected balls. Startup change from 17 to 15, so it's quicker. Same with 6H, quicker. And sweep, angle of the balls, 75, could be better. And reduce the movement speed of deflected balls, so it's a little slower. More neutral control. JD, fix an issue, so it's a bug. And increase knockback of the final hit. Now launches the opponent on grounded hit the final hit. And the follow-up input buffer on hit is 6 frames. Very stronger. And there's now a proximity requirement needed for behind them. So Mega Fish treatment, can't hit behind. Ball, fix an issue where ball disappearing when its duration ended after being deflected. That's something that only real Venom mains will notice, I think. QV, this is the DP input with all this. Attack level went to 3, so better reward on hit, and hit stop changed from 6 to 10 and is now 0 on block, way stronger. And when you do the max hold version, +3 on block, and attack level 4, way stronger. Stinger is now quicker on the charge time, and if you do the S version, it has way more recovery, -10 on block, and if you do the heavy version, -21. Aye. Carcass Raid, that's the down and up, quicker to charge, and they reduce the upward hitbox and heartbox. And if you do the version in midair, it's the exact same thing, reduce the forward and downward hitbox. And then remove the throw invincibility on your command grab. So Venom overall got some good changes, but I'm not a Venom main, so I don't know how effective these changes are, so I'll have to wait and see. Unika, she's a character that could use a little bit of love, but not a ton in my mind. Close slash, harder anti-aircraft. 6H, a projectile now fires. Mad. The character is in a counter hit state until the end of recovery, like a projectile should. Sweep, increase the knockback. Probably harder to connect off of on certain ranges. The follow-up normals, if you pick down S, increase the knockback and increase the launch height after a ground bounce, so that means you're going to get a bit of a combo state. And it's safer on block. Heavy slash, quarter circle forward, add a proximity requirement, preventing from hitting the opponent located behind her. Okay. Quarter circle back kick, Arbalist. Let's see, grounded opponent can no longer tech on landing, so hard knockdown, and decrease the launch height after a ground bounce. That seems strong. Alright, DP, counter effect removed, and the second hit now connects against airborne opponents. So the first hit has to put them in the air state, if not it doesn't work. Blast Off, this is the DP with no Arbalist, this is the DP. Usual changes, way more punishable. Look at that, minus 70. Decrease the launch height. Blaze the Trail, quarter circle back S, fix a bunch of bugs in Arbalist mode and cancelling start with into Mega Death Buster. Mega Death Buster, the character is getting the usual changes, and the second hit not only connects on airborne opponents, weapons free, went to 16 frames and increased the forward movement speed. That's not the issue with this tool. You need to make it hit people that are no longer grounded, airborne state. I don't know why they're doing this. So random. And finally, we have Lucy. That's a character that can use apparently a lot of, Jesus Christ. 6p went to 4 frames. Flow slash, usual changes. Bar slash now pulls the opponent upon touching the opponent. Mad. Crouching slash now pulls the same thing. Wow. 5H no longer launches the opponent on ground hit. That may affect a lot, but I'm not too sure. 6H added a follow-up hitbox to the upper part of the hitbox and is now coming out way quicker. Command normals, if you press down, now activates if you press down. Okay. Recovery changed from 16 to -5, so still punishable, but only jab punishable. It reduced the horizontal blowback and increased the launch height. Command normal, close slashing and down S. Now -8, still very punishable, reduce the horizontal blowback, increase the launch height on grounded hit, and decrease the launch height on air hit. So you get a bit more of a reward with your buck. Monowire, increase horizontal blowback after ground bounce, so that's a bit more of a pushback thing on hit. -3 on Unity, so that's pretty good. A bit more of a usable tool on block. Now launches the opponent on hit with the final hit, the whole version. That's pretty good. And remove the wall bounce effect hitting the final hit, the whole version. That's pretty strong. The Sweep S during sprint attack. Active frames went down to 3 and just not back on hit. And decreased the launch height. And the launch height is now reduced when hitting. Yeah, overall nerfed that too. However, if you do the cross up, so this is a follow up in the cross up, they hit the scaling, and since this move is over it, it's subject to the universal change to the damage scaling. However, as an exception, the combo blowback scaling when hitting as the first hit in the combo is not changed. So they were nice on that. Decrease the launch height after the ground bounce on the air hit though, so less of a combo state on an aerial hit. DP, usual changes, more punishable and no counter hit. And Livewire, the super conditioning opponent killing to get the follow up is went to 20%. Way buffed. Characters now in counter state at the end of recovery and can no longer roam and cancel, usual changes. Expanded proximity requirement upward and adding a follow-up hitbox to the upper part of the hitbox. Okay. Contagion, damage interval changed from 15 to 30 frames, so less damage across the board. Resistance glitch, RAM usage changed from 9 to 11, harder to use, and again 240 frames instead of 480, harder to use. And added a guard crush effect, the heavy slash, and crouching heavy slash at 6H while active, so big buff on that. We've done it! Yeah, we've covered every character again, no green screen, no silliness, I just wanted to get straight to the point. Overall, my thoughts are, Potemkin, changed in a healthy way. A lot of characters changed in a healthy way. The biggest winner, though, is a little harder to gauge because every character got hit in some type of way to make the game a bit more balanced. But if I had to pick a winner of these patches, I'm thinking maybe Dizzy, maybe Slayer, and one of the biggest losers, definitely ABBA, without a doubt. ABBA, HC, and maybe another big winner might be Asuka, and the loser might be Bedman, I don't know. Kiske definitely a winner for sure, I would say, and Bridget might be a wee bit of a winner. And Testament's definitely a winner, but again, a lot of it is hard to tell. But the characters did get buffed, I think deserved it, and a lot of characters that did get nerfed did deserve it as well. Leo could use a little bit more, but that's just my opinion. I'm on a Leo hate arc. And as Patriarch Panda, I've been doing this for 2 hours. My throat is dying, but now I need to edit. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. 2.0 in 2 days. See ya.